Brittney Griner says she's had enough of the WNBA. According to her, players are going through a lot, not getting paid enough, and not being protected. She's now threatening to leave for EuroLeague.
Why put my body through that when I can go overseas and make 7 figures?
But she's not the only top player considering it. Let me break it down. Cracks in the court. How Brittney Griner's patience with the WNBA snapped. "I'm done with this league." Brittney Griner didn't just hint at her frustration with the WNBA. She all but fired a warning shot that could rock women's basketball to its core. In a heated, painfully honest moment, the 6'8" icon admitted she's seriously considering walking away from the league she's helped define and heading overseas where the paychecks are bigger, the respect is real, and the players are treated like royalty. And make no mistake, this isn't some idle threat. This is coming from a woman who survived a Russian prison, fought through physical targeting on the court, and still carried a franchise on her back. So when Brittney Griner says she might leave, it's because she's been pushed to that breaking point. She's had enough. Enough of inconsistent officiating. Enough of being the headline for every controversy. Enough of being underpaid while putting her body on the line every single night. The most shocking part? The comments that set the WNBA world on fire weren't made in a fit of rage after a game. They came in calm, deliberate interviews. Moments where she wanted everyone listening to know, this is not heat of the moment talk. This is real. But before we get to that breaking point, you have to understand exactly how she got there. And why, despite her love for Phoenix and her teammates, she's already thinking about a life after the WNBA. The tipping point started with a fight. And no, not just a shoving match. This was an all-out brawl with the Dallas Wings that left Griner serving a 3-game suspension and rethinking her entire future in the league. She says it began long before that night, with elbows, hard fouls, and dirty plays that weren't being called. The frustration built game after game, and when the opponent ran into her elbow during a rebound, things erupted.
She ran into the elbow, she didn't like it, pulled me back, threw a punch, and everything it was like the top came off the boiling pot at that point.
That one spark set off chaos. Players from both teams rushed in, punches flew. A referee, a grown man, tried to hold Griner back and couldn't. She admits she went after her opponent, and she admits it was wrong. But here's the thing, she's not sorry for standing up for herself after years of what she calls unfair treatment. And yet, when the suspensions came down, it wasn't equal punishment across the board.
So, the 3 games that I got, I wasn't mad at me getting the 3 games. I think it should have been 3 across the board, though.
That double standard was the first crack in her loyalty to the WNBA, but it wasn't the only one. Because while Griner was serving her suspension, she was also looking at the numbers, not just her stat sheet, her paycheck. Overseas, Brittney Griner has lived like an NBA star. Private planes, luxury hotels, steak dinners, and wine after games. Salaries in the 7 figures.
Overseas.
My salaries are definitely higher. I had $1 million contract in Russia. Was definitely not making that in the W.
Compare that to the WNBA, where the average salary is a fraction of what she made abroad, and where, as she and other players argue, the revenue split is shockingly small. While NBA players take home roughly 50% of league revenue, WNBA players get around 9.3%. Griner's blunt about it. Why should she keep playing year-round, risking her body for less money and less protection, when she could work half the year overseas and come home with more money and more time to rest?
So I feel undervalued anyway. Not getting calls in the game, not being protected. Why put my body through that when I can go overseas and make 7 figures?
But this is about more than money. It's about respect. Brittney Griner says being one of the league's biggest stars, literally and figuratively, hasn't made her feel valued. In fact, it's often made her a target. She talks about taking elbows to the face, being clamped on rebounds, getting hit in ways smaller players never experience, and still not getting calls from referees. She's not alone in feeling this way. Players like Liz Cambage have publicly backed her up, saying bigs get hit harder and called less. But while they've vented, Griner has turned it into a challenge to the league. Protect your stars or lose them.
Has it made me a better player, I think? Yeah, and it's frustrating for Liz too, as well. Because we watch the games, but we're talking about how bad the refs are.
And when she says lose them, she means it. The moment that sent shockwaves wasn't when she compared the WNBA to playing overseas. It was when she openly admitted she was ready to walk away if things didn't change.
How serious are you because of your frustration?
I'm very serious when I say that. I do love playing here in the States, but I'm at a point where it's like, why put my body through that?
Let that sink in. A 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, a multiple-time All-Star, an Olympic gold medalist. And she's telling you, plain as day, that the WNBA is making her question question if it's worth it. If that doesn't make the league nervous, nothing will. Now, for the WNBA, losing a player like Griner isn't just about stats. It's about optics, business, and fan trust. She's been one of the most marketable faces in the sport, a central figure in league promos, merchandise sales, and storylines. She's been through one of the most high-profile international incidents in sports history and come back to play at a high level. And yet, in her words, she still doesn't feel protected, still doesn't feel valued. It's not hard to see why fans and analysts are now asking whether the WNBA has taken her for granted. Because the truth is, Brittney Griner's frustrations mirror a bigger fight happening across the league. Players are wearing shirts that say, "Pay us what you owe us." Fans are holding signs and chanting for better pay. The players' union is pushing for a new collective bargaining agreement that would increase revenue sharing and improve conditions. But for Griner, this isn't just a bargaining chip. It's a line in the sand.
And making the statements and letting them know this is serious, but I plan on re-signing. Then I probably will hang it up sooner and just play overseas.
In other words, she's giving the league time to change, but she's not giving them forever. And if you think this is just about a few bad calls or some extra bumps under the basket, you're missing the bigger picture. This is about years of feeling like the rules are different for her, about watching the league market her name but not defend her on the court, about knowing that in Russia or China, she'd be flying private, eating steak after games, and making more in one season than she does in multiple WNBA seasons combined. She loves Phoenix. She loves her teammates. But love doesn't pay the bills, and it doesn't erase the bruises. The WNBA has a choice. Give Brittney Griner and players like her the value and protection they deserve, or watch them take their talent elsewhere. And if they think she's bluffing, they haven't been paying attention. From Russian prison to EuroLeague riches, why overseas still calls to her. For years, Brittney Griner's relationship with the WNBA has been a balancing act, part love story, part endurance test. But the truth is, she's already lived another version of professional basketball, and it's a version she may never stop missing. Because long before her Russian prison nightmare made international headlines, Brittney Griner was a global star in leagues that valued her, not just with words, not just with highlight reels, with money, treatment, and respect that made the WNBA look like an unpaid internship by comparison. We're talking million-dollar salaries, chauffeured travel, teams with multiple private planes at their disposal, and here's the kicker.
We got these teams that's pouring all this into us, private planes. It was lavish on the inside. Steaks, wine, drinks after the game. They treated us like we were in the NBA.
Overseas, she wasn't an outlier. Other stars were being courted the same way, because in Russia, China, and other international leagues, they understand that investing in talent is how you win. In the WNBA, she's been told to be patient, told the league operates at a loss, told the revenue split can't change, even though, as she points out, NBA players take home roughly 50% of their league's revenue, while WNBA players scrape by with under 10%. So when Brittney Griner says she might leave, it's not just emotion, it's math. But there's another reason her loyalty is running out, one that has nothing to do with travel perks or seven-figure salaries. It's about survival. When you've lived through what Griner's lived through, your perspective changes. You don't waste years hoping a system will eventually value you. She's been in a cell with no shower, no toilet paper, no toothbrush. She's had to rip a shirt into pieces just to clean herself.
It's feces, urine over everything. I have to take a shirt that ripped it into pieces, used to wipe my body with the sink water, clean myself.
Those first days in Russian detention weren't just humiliating, they were dehumanizing, and yet she endured them. So when she comes back to the United States and finds herself still fighting for basic respect in her own league, it hits differently. This isn't just about bad refereeing anymore. It's about the principle. If she can survive the worst conditions imaginable, why should she tolerate being treated like a second-class athlete at home? Her Russian prison story isn't one she tells for sympathy. She tells it because it explains why she's done making excuses for institutions that refuse to change. And the details are brutal. She describes the stench, the lack of supplies, the isolation. She remembers cutting a piece of metal just to make a cleaning tool. She remembers wearing the same clothes for days, not even receiving a prison uniform until after her trial. She remembers thinking, "This is the nastiest I have ever felt in my life."
I didn't get a prison uniform until I actually made it to prison at the end of my trial. It was the nastiest I've ever felt and been in my life.
When you hear her say those words, you realize she's already faced the kind of adversity that would break most people. She's not afraid of starting over somewhere else if the WNBA won't meet her halfway. But here's the twist. Despite that hellish year, Griner still loves the game, still loves Phoenix, still talks about her teammates and coaches like family. That's the tragedy of this situation. She's not walking away because she's bitter at basketball. She's walking away because she's tired of fighting two battles at once, one against her opponents and one against the system that's supposed to protect her. And And make no mistake, the system is part of the problem. Griner's been vocal about the way the league and referees handle bigs, the taller, stronger players who take more contact in the paint. She says she gets hit constantly, but because she's 6'8" and doesn't flinch the way smaller players do, the fouls aren't called. The result? More physical punishment, more risk of injury, and more nights where she's sore from head to toe, wondering why she's sacrificing her body for a league that won't even call the game fairly. She's even joked, bitterly, that if she started flopping like smaller players, she might finally get some calls. But she knows that's not her style, and it's not basketball the way it should be played. And here's the other thing. Brittney Griner doesn't just speak for herself. Over and over, she makes it clear. This isn't just her fight. It's about all the bigs. From Liz Cambage to Kalani Brown, she's seen what happens to tall, physical players in this league. They get hacked, grabbed, elbowed, and yet the whistle stays silent.
Clamp our arms because our wingspans are out, or we turn the post and someone gets hit with an accidental elbow because they're short, they're eye level. So it's like, so you want me, so I don't understand how I'm supposed to post up. Like, am I supposed to post up small, like this?
It's a problem she's been raising since college, and in her view, the league has had more than enough time to fix it. So when she says protect us and value us, she's not just talking about her paycheck. She's talking about a fundamental respect for players' safety and longevity. Now think about what happens if the WNBA doesn't act. Brittney Griner leaves for the EuroLeague. Other stars follow. The product on the floor suffers, the ratings dip, and the very fans the league is trying to attract start to wonder if women's basketball will ever reach its full potential. And it won't just be about the money lost. It'll be about the message it sends, that even the most decorated, committed players can be driven away not by age, but by neglect. That's the scenario Griner's comments have forced into the spotlight. But the irony? Overseas leagues are ready and waiting. In Russia, even before the prison ordeal, she was treated like a top NBA star. The facilities were world-class. The perks were constant. In China, her first-year contract was worth nearly 5 times her WNBA salary. That wasn't a one-off. That was standard for top-tier imports. She's been clear. If she only played in the WNBA, she would have needed another job to support herself. Coaching, clinics, anything to make ends meet. Overseas, she was set. Her family was supported. Her body got the treatment it needed.
If I was only playing W, I would have had to find something else to do. Find another job, go coach, the lifestyle that we were living, being able to support my family, have the things I need for my body.
It's almost poetic. The very leagues the WNBA tries to keep its stars from depending on are the ones keeping those stars in the game longer. And Griner knows it. She's not threatening to leave out of spite. She's laying out a calculated decision. Protect her health, secure her financial future, and play in an environment that appreciates her. If the WNBA can't offer that, she'll find it somewhere else. And remember, she's not saying she'll vanish from basketball. She's saying she'll vanish from this league. So why hasn't the WNBA fixed this already? Some say it's because the league still operates at a loss, reportedly around $40 million a year. Others say it's about leverage in the upcoming collective bargaining agreement. But from a player's perspective, that's not her problem to solve. She's given the league her best years, played through pain, and been one of its most marketable faces. And still, she's the one being told to be patient, while ownership and executives figure out how much her health is worth. In a way, you could argue Brittney Griner's whole career has been leading to this moment, this ultimatum. From her breakout high school dunk video to her dominance at Baylor, from her record-setting WNBA seasons to her international stardom, from the crushing lows of Russian detention to the highs of Olympic gold, every chapter has reinforced one truth: she knows her value. And when you know your value, you don't settle for less. She's told the league what she needs: better pay, better protection, better officiating for bigs. She's told them it's not just about her, but about raising the standard for every player. Now the question is, will they listen, or will they watch one of the greatest to ever play pack her bags for good? The earthquake that could shatter the WNBA if Brittney walks away. If Brittney Griner leaves the WNBA, it won't just be a personal decision, it'll be an earthquake. The kind that doesn't just crack the court. It shakes the very foundation the league is built on. Because think about what her exit would signal. This isn't a rookie chasing a payday. This isn't a role player looking for more minutes. This is one of the faces of the league, a 10-time All-Star, an Olympic champion, a walking highlight reel, deciding the WNBA is no longer worth the grind. And the message that sends? That even at the very top where you've made it, the trade-off between passion and protection just isn't worth it. Imagine opening night next season. No Brittney Griner on the floor, no 6'8" force in the paint, no dunks that blow up social media, no household name for casual fans to latch onto. Now multiply that by the stars who'd follow her lead. Because make no mistake, if she leaves, she won't be alone. Veterans like Breanna Stewart, Aja Wilson, or Jonquel Jones might not publicly threaten to walk, but you can bet agents across the league will be fielding calls from EuroLeague clubs the moment they see a gap in the WNBA's armor. It's happened before, just not this publicly. Diana Diana Taurasi once skipped an entire WNBA season after her Russian team paid her more to rest for them. If Brittney Griner joins that list while still in her prime, the optics are brutal. It tells younger stars, you don't have to wait until you're older to make this decision. You can protect your body and your bank account now. And if you're the WNBA, you can't hide from that narrative, because fans aren't dumb. They'll connect the dots. The same fans who've been showing up with pay the players signs and chanting during games will see exactly what happened. Their calls went unanswered, their stars left, and the league kept saying next year, until it was too late. Sponsors will see it too. Corporate partnerships thrive on star power, on recognizable faces. Take away one of the most famous names in women's sports, and suddenly those glossy marketing campaigns don't hit the same. Even the broadcast deals could take a hit. Networks pay for ratings, and Brittney Griner moves the needle. When she returned from Russia, her games drew extra attention not just from basketball fans, but from people who had never watched a WNBA game before. Remove that spotlight, and you're asking networks to justify the same rights fees for a product missing one of its biggest draws. But here's where it gets even more dangerous for the WNBA. Brittney Griner leaving isn't just a PR nightmare. It's proof that the alternative is better. For years, the league has counted on the idea that players want to be home in the summer, in front of US fans, with family close by. But Griner has already lived the overseas lifestyle, and she's openly said it's not just more lucrative, it's more sustainable.
Why put my body through that when I can go overseas and make 7 figures and maybe play longer from taking off the summer and actually being able to rest my body?
That's the line that should terrify the league office. Play longer. Because if overseas play lets stars extend their careers while earning more, then the WNBA is fighting not just to keep them now, but to keep them from leaving years before they would have retired. So what does the league do? They could try to outspend the competition, but with reported losses of $40 million a year, New York Post, that's a battle they can't win overnight. They could finally agree to a bigger revenue share in the new collective bargaining agreement, moving closer to the NBA's 50-50 split. But that means owners giving up a bigger slice of the pie now in the hopes that a stronger league and stronger player loyalty will grow the pie later. And they could crack down on the officiating disparity Griner's been calling out for years. Protect the bigs, call the fouls, treat the game in the paint with the same respect you give the perimeter. Will they do it? History says maybe not fast enough. If they don't, the domino effect is almost guaranteed. First, more veterans will plan their careers around overseas schedules, treating the WNBA as optional rather than essential. That's already common, but right now, most still come back each summer. If the balance tips, summers in the US could become the exception, not the norm. Second, rookies will start seeing the WNBA less as the ultimate destination and more as a stepping stone, a way to get noticed before signing the real checks in Europe, Asia, or Australia. And third, the league's marketing machine will struggle to build lasting storylines, rivalries, championships. They lose their weight if the biggest stars aren't around to carry them forward year after year. For Brittney Griner, though, the calculus is personal. She's already said she's not talking about walking away mid-season. She's not a quitter. She'll finish what she starts.
Am I talking about quitting right now this season? No, I'm not a quitter where when I start a season, I'm going to end in the middle of the season. No, I'm not even talking about next year. Hopefully everything goes good with the collective bargaining agreement and all that. And, they fix some things.
But the patience she's showing now is not infinite. Every hard foul that goes uncalled, every headline that singles her out, every off-season where she has to choose between rest and money, it chips away at the reasons to stay. And the day those reasons run out, she won't look back. The most telling thing, she's already visualized life without the WNBA. She's talked about playing only overseas in her later years, about cutting her career short domestically but keeping it going internationally. That's not the kind of thought you entertain unless you've seriously considered it. And it's not hard to see why she'd thrive in that role. Overseas, she's not just another all-star. She's the attraction. She draws fans who wouldn't otherwise watch, and teams treat her accordingly. It's a level of star treatment she's earned, but one she rarely gets at home. If the WNBA wants to keep her, they have to give her a reason that outweighs all of that. And right now, playing in front of home fans isn't enough. Not when she can bring her family to Europe for part of the season. Not when she can FaceTime from a 5-star hotel after flying private to the next game. Not when her bank account and her body is better off abroad. This is the crossroads. For Brittney Griner, it's about deciding how she wants the final chapters of her career to read. For the WNBA, it's about proving they can protect and value their stars before the stars decide they've had enough. If they fail, her departure won't just be a headline. It'll be a case study, one that future generations of players will point to when they choose their own paths. And years from now, we might look back on this moment as the one where the league could have changed, but didn't. So when Brittney Griner says, "I'm very serious when I say that," about leaving, believe her. Because she's been been serious her whole career, serious about the work, serious about the game, and now serious about herself. If the WNBA doesn't match that seriousness, it won't just lose a player, it'll lose a piece of its identity, and it might never get it back. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.